Hey guys, welcome back to another ESO video. Today we're going to be talking about how to survive in Elder Scrolls Online, either on Stamina or Magica. In terms of things like soloing open world bosses, soloing veteran dungeons, that kind of thing, you can't solo every veteran dungeon, it's impossible. There's certain mechanics that will pull you in an animation where you'll be one shot. Some of them you can solo, and we'll get to some of the list of what you can and can't do in a bit. So yeah, I mean, no matter your class, there's always skills to survive these kind of situations, kind of with big mobs, big elite kind of enemies, things like that. I'm going to tell you outright that Magica has the advantage, simply because of our massive shield size and the fact that we can stack shields, and we can heal behind our shields safely. This doesn't mean that stamina is redundant. Stamina is insanely powerful, more damage than Magica as well, in my opinion. You just have to make good use of dodge rolling, whereas Magica you don't have to, you could just stand there. So every class has access to harness Magica. This is roughly 15k normally. You can push this up and down depending on your CP and your gear and skills and how high your max Magica is. Essentially, how high your max Magica is, the CP thing, Bastion, those two are key to pushing this to high numbers. You know, 17k is pretty good. It's reasonable. When you've got this at like 22k, that's when you're laughing, because you know you can take 22k of damage before anything even touches your health, and when it's about to, just recast and you're safe. If you do take damage, you heal up behind your shield. So the two kind of principles of surviving open world bosses, mobs, things like that, veteran dungeons, is to have a strong setup. I'm not going to go into that now. I'm on a warden currently. I do have a warden build out, so go and check that out for like in-depth talking about that kind of stuff, but just as a rough kind of thing. So on a front bar we've got the shield, because we're going to be on the front bar the majority of the time. So we want as much max Magica as we can to make this as strong as we can. So we've got Inner Light on the front bar. This gives us 5% increased max Magica, an extra 2% via the passives, so that's 7% max Magica increase for having this slotted. We also have 8% from the Northern Storm and Warden ability. So you've got the 8% and the 7%. This is going to be pushing our max Magica quite high. Currently we're at 45k. It's not bad. But what's going to really tip this over the edge is we're wearing Necropotence. Now you can farm this in Rivenspire. It's an overland set. This gives you Magica. For all of the pieces, and for the 5 piece you get 4k max Magica when a pet's active. So for Sorks it's going to be things like the little monkey guy, the volatile familiar, whatever it is, or the clan fear, or the bird thing, the Twilight. The monster set, the crocodile monster set, I forget what it's called, that procs Necropotence, but not enough to make it viable. And of course with Warden we have our lovely Betty. So with the Betty active, this gives us the 5 piece, which pushes our max Magica to 50k, and you can adjust this depending on what sets you wear, so you can get it higher than that. And that gives us a shield strength of roughly 20k. You can push this up and down with your CP tree, the shield bit in the CP tree. So that's fine for now anyway, 20k, it's roughly 20k. So the shield, the heal, the two things to push max Magica, keeping the shield up and keeping your heals up behind the shield while your damage is laid down is essentially what's key. So having a strong setup is the first point. The second point is knowing the enemy's attacks. So I'm going to put on the screen a kind of a crudely photoshopped image of enemy kind of attack types. Now, these are not all of them, these are just a couple. These are just the basic examples of like kind of like the charged kind of heavy attacks that you'll see, and these kind of things can one-shot depending on your situation, and it's things like this that cut through your health, kill you, and make you think, I can't do this, I can't solo this, when you can. You just have to avoid the damage. So the first kind of type is there'll be some electric shocks zooming into the head or away from. This means that they're going to do some kind of charged heavy attack. The way to avoid this is by block or dodge roll. There'll be another type which is like a red cone on the ground, which is where the attack will happen. You can simply sidestep this, no need to block or anything. You don't even have to dodge roll, just sidestep. Another variation of this is the typical kind of ground and pound. You see a lot of gargoyles in Hellra do this, and different enemies can do this. And again, just move back. So knowing how to avoid these types of damage will prevent damage. So your shield won't be touched and you won't need the heal. So rather than just standing there and taking the damage, which is going to cut through your shield, so you have to recast, and if this keeps going on, you're going to run out of Magica. If you just simply avoid these attacks, it can save you so much Magica. It can save your shields if they're up, and so on. So, to give a little example, we're going to go and grab one of these giants. Let's get this guy. And keep a lookout for his attacks. We're not going to shield or anything or heal yet. There should have been a red cone there, but there wasn't. So we see that, we sidestepped. And he's taken a health down. No problem. These are just kind of small attacks. Here comes a heavy, I'm not going to block it. That took a fair bit of health. Now we're going to put a shield on. And see with the shield. And the shield's up. And that would have probably killed us, but we got the shield up. And we're constantly gaining health while the shield's up. He's not cutting through the shield. And when you're on the shield, use your heals behind it, and you're back to full. So, yeah, I mean, the shield and the healing is just ridiculous, especially on a warden. But again, knowing how to avoid, there's the cone. Knowing how to avoid these attacks just saves so much damage. Okay. So that's the basics. There should be a boss around here. We're going to go solo this boss. Now, obviously we're in a giant area with mammoths, and I'm pretty certain from what I remember this guy is just the same thing. Most of the bosses are effectively going to be just an elite version of the basic mobs you see around you. So therefore their attacks are going to be the same. So for this boss, Longstride and his pal, we're just going to be careful. We're going to try and avoid the attacks whenever possible, like the cone staff and the heavy attacks. We're going to try and just sidestep them, and we're going to keep the shield up, and we're going to keep the healing up behind the shield, and we're just going to keep our dots down, and we're going to try and get rid of one of these enemies before the other, because two of them, yeah, it's okay, but just get rid of one of them. So let's pull these guys, put the damage down, get the pet up, so we've got the 5-piece, drop an ultimate, because we're going to be building up more. There's a heavy attack, the conal, we've avoided it by sidestepping, and we're just keeping the damage up. We're going to keep our shields on, and we're just going to circle, try and just avoid as much damage as we can. There's a guy over there. See, we're just constantly sidestepping all this, and we're just keeping the heavy attack up for sustain. And these guys have no chance. As long as that shield is up. That shield is key. We could do more damage actually, let's get some more. And you can see how strong the shield is for Magica. It's just brilliant. I think that dude's going to come and help. No, okay, we're good. So, that wasn't really too hard, that boss. I'm going to give some more examples. But it's just maintaining that kind of rotation of keeping the shield up, avoiding the damage. When you take the damage, put the shield on, back away, get your heals up, and then come back in, put your damage back down. I find it's always easier to practice on basic mobs and stuff, just and work your way up. Don't just jump straight into, like, you know, trying to solo a vet dungeon or something. Like, build your way up, because it's not necessarily easy. What it really is the content is easy to solo, but it requires patience. Like, one small misstep and it's over. You'll get one shot. So I'm going to go and give an example of some more bosses, and some of them on Stam as well. Like, I'll explain the Stam part of this as well. Okay, so we're back on a Stam character. This is a Stam sorcerer, Khajiit. Now, unlike with magic, we don't have any shields, so there's a few ways we can get around this. With the shields, obviously, we're going to take massive damage and it won't touch your health. With no shields, we're going to take damage to the health. So we need to focus on healing through the damage. Let me just kill this for a second. Okay, so let's go over here quickly. Right. So every stamina character has access to these three abilities. This is Bloodthirst. This is a Morph Flurry. If you're in trials, take rapid strikes for extra damage. I've calculated the damage. It's not you're not missing out on loads by taking Bloodthirst, but if you're trials, do take rapid strikes. Everything else, solo content. If you're trying to solo vet dungeons yourself, things like that, VMA. I can't recommend Bloodthirst enough. It's so strong. The heal you get at the end heals you for 60% of the damage caused of the final hit. You know, and if the crit hits, then you're going to get even more healing. This is got a channel time of 0.6 seconds, so it's under a second, and that's how quickly you get the heal every second. So Blood Craze gives you a 1k heal every 2 seconds, and this can be applied to multiple enemies. So you can apply it on like 5 enemies, and you're going to get 5k every 2 seconds. So that's an effective way you can use that. Resolving Vigor is a massive heal over time. Very strong, especially if your crit's high. They won't leave me alone today. Okay, so yeah, for the people who don't know, Vigor is obtained by going to Cyrodiil and unlocking your Assault and Support skill lines. In Assault, grab Vigor and then level it up and morph it to Resolving Vigor and then get that leveled up. Every class has, you know, different abilities that can help it survive. So for Stam Templars, they'll have things like Repent, so they can get healing off the corpses, the dead bodies that they leave. For Sorcery, we have Crit Surge. So what this does is increases your weapon damage by 20% for 33 seconds. While active, dealing a critical strike heals you for 3000 health. This effect can occur once every second. And this is on point. This heals for that much every second. It's so powerful. You can heal with just Crit Surge. You can use Vigor as well, heal with just that. We're going to use all of them. This guy really wants me to do this boss with him, so I'm just going to help this guy. Really quickly. Oh, no, he's done it. Okay. So I'm going to give an example of how you do this on a Stam character. Solo is going to be a vet boss. We're in City of Ash 1, a veteran dungeon. This is on veteran. This is really not too hard. This is probably the easiest one to solo. I'm doing this just as an example. So on our way to the boss, we're just going to show an example of how you can heal through with rapid strikes. and Bloodthirst. And Vigor when needed. And you can see the damage of Bloodthirst is just so powerful. So we're just going to drop down because I don't want to waste time on all these enemies. So the boss is just around the corner. Alright. Okay, bro. Okay. Now that the enemies are out the way, this is quite a slow-moving boss. Just going to keep our damage up, keep crit surge up, and we're going to just keep rapid strikes up as well. Just keep the damage up, stay behind him. There's a little red AoE in the ground, move out of that, otherwise we will take damage. Reapply your dots as you need to. Just keep the healing up. Just make sure you're always topped off. Because on a stamina character, it's just that one move that can take all your health down that you're not looking out for. Always keep your resources up as well, because with no resources, we can't get the healing that we need. So always keep the heavy attacks in every other kind of skill or whatnot. If you get ultimates, drop them instantly because you're gonna need to recharge them. Not always. Don't always just drop them, but the majority of the time, unless you're saving them for a certain, thing, a certain round or a certain situation, just use them straight away because we want to get more. So just rotating everything, keeping everything up. It's just the same routine. There's nothing really extra to talk about, to be honest. Out of resources, heavy attack to get the resources back. Get behind this dude, I don't know what he's doing here. Reapply your dots. Get out of the way of that. Ultimate. And we're just going to burn him now. Finish him off with what stam we have. Okay. That guy wasn't really too hard. Just killed this guy because so many people kept interrupting the world bosses. So it's hard to get a recording of that. Okay. We're in Vardenfell at the moment. If you don't have this DLC, go and pick it up. It's really good. I heard that from a few people that the world bosses here are ridiculous. They're not like the normal ones. So we're going to go and try and solo one. Well, I've already done this, so I know it could be done, but I wanted to go and redo it for the sake of this video. Okay, so it's here. Right, we're just going to jump straight in before someone comes, get the shield up. Just going to drop ultimate straight away. Put all the damage down, move out of his cone AoE. Try and put as much damage over time as we can on him. So then we're free to just cast shield and stuff. So we're keeping up the heavy attacks to gain the resources back. Behind the safety of our shield. Just recast your dots as you need to. Any defense that you need, put all your dots back down. Just play it safe and spend the time you need to keep the strong kind of flow going. Safety first. I mean, look at the ads, man, they're just melting so quick. I don't think we've even used the heal. We might have done. I know I've been using the shield anyway. Not for ultimate, we're going to drop the ultimate. Next ultimate we're going to save for the other one. Icy Rage.
Move out the AoE. Okay, so just keep your damage up. Keep all your dots rotating. And keep your shield up when you can. And this is why it's so much more effective on a Magica class. Because we can just sustain almost indefinitely. We've got full Magica still. There hasn't really been any danger of us dying. Just keep the heavy attacks up because we're starting to get a bit low on resources. Put it all up. Okay. Bird of Prey. Drop the ultimate. Straight in with heavy attacks. Keep everything going. There's nothing really else to talk about. Just keep everything up. Keep all your damage over time on him. Just keep your shields up as necessary. This boss doesn't probably even require that much shields. Just noticed it can suddenly hit hard. Right. The boss is almost dead now. So we're going to try and really focus some hard damage on him. As soon as the dots go, straight back on with the dots. We don't really even have any spammables at the moment. Okay. So, the new bosses are supposed to be really tough. And maybe they are, but with the right defensive play, they're killable. So, a huge part of that was staying out of the AoEs and things like that. That's going to prevent so much damage. Keeping the shield up is just key for Magica classes, alongside healing. If you're on stamina, your damage is your source of healing. So keep that up, but also be careful not to run out of resources on stamina characters, because it can happen before you know it. So best of luck with trying out different things. Start small. Start with just kind of you know, some bigger mobs like elephants and giants and things like that, and then start with like little groups, like pull all the groups in. Then build up to like bosses, you know, open world bosses, and have a try at vet dungeons. I'll go through really quickly. A list. Okay, so for all the dungeons on veteran, I'm going to go through the ones that are possible to solo and the ones that are not possible. Fungal Grotto 1 is possible to solo. Fungal Grotto 2 is not possible to solo. There's a mechanic where you get pulled down and you'll get one shot. If you're on a Sork and you've got pets and they manage to somehow kill the enemies, fair enough. Spindle Clutch 1, it's possible to solo, but it's going to be very difficult with the final boss. It hits so hard, more than even a Magica kind of shield can stop. Spindle Clutch 2, if you take your time, it's possible to solo. Be quite difficult, a lot of strong enemies. Banished Cells 1, it is possible to solo. The final boss can kill very quickly, but if you play safe, it's possible to solo. Banished Cells 2, it is possible to solo, but it's even more harder than the first. With the final boss, there's lots of Daedroths and things that come out. It's going to be almost impossible, but it's not impossible. Dark Shade 1, yeah, there's no problem here. This is possible to solo, just take it slow. try and pull just kind of each enemy at a time if you can. Don't just run in and get all of them. It's possible to solo. Dark Shade 2 is possible to solo. Play it safe, very defensively. Eden Hollow 1. I can't really remember if this is possible to solo. I think it is. Eden Hollow 2 is going to be very hard. I think it's possible. Wayrest is possible to solo. It's not too hard. Wayrest 2 is possible to solo, I think. Arcs, I think it's going to be pretty hard, but I think it is possible. City of Ash is possible. City of Ash 2, I would probably leave this one. There's nothing that really stops you from soloing it. It's just the enemies hit so hard that it's just not going to really be possible. I'm not saying it can't be done. The final boss is going to be very, very, very hard. Crypto Hearts, possible to solo. It's pretty easy. The second one, okay, the second one is not possible to solo. The reason why I say this is the final boss pull at a certain phase will hold you down and it will drive a sword into you, and unless there's someone who could cause enough damage to him to stop it, even Sorc Pets probably won't be able to do that. Yeah, so this isn't really possible to solo, I don't think. Direfrost Keep is possible to solo. It's going to be very hard with the final boss. Tempest Island. It's possible to solo, but the final boss there's so much going on that it will become overwhelming with a lot of attacks at the top. Volenfell is possible to solo. You have to take a long time doing it and play safe. Blackheart Haven is possible to solo. It's going to be hard. All of these are going to be hard. Blessed Crucible, possible to solo. Selene's Web. The end boss there's probably too much going on, but I'm not saying that it can't be done. Vaults of Madness. I don't really think this is possible to solo. There's a specific boss that just sucks your health. He's not even a boss, he's just an ad, but he sucks your health down really fast. If you're on your own, you need a couple of people, and the boss straight after it holds you until you die. That's the point. Direfrost Keep, the final boss does this thing where it sucks life from you, so you're never going to get its health down because it will always heal from you. I don't really know if you can solo this. Normal, probably. Vet's going to be so hard because it's going to constantly regain health. Yeah, so Vaults of Madness I would say probably isn't possible. It's hard to say. Cradle. Now, there's somebody who's done this, veteran on a Sorc with his pets. So, hats off to whoever that guy was. I can't remember the guy's name, but it is possible. That guy aside, I would normally say, no, this is not possible. There's too much damage. The bosses hit way too hard. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm not too sure how that guy managed to do it. He is, very experienced, very good player. Right, Veteran Imperial City Prison. I wouldn't even bother with it solo. It's gonna be too hard. Yeah, enemies hit too hard. Veteran Moons Mazatun. Forget it, not a chance. Solo, no way. Veteran White Gold Tower solo. Yeah, I probably wouldn't try it. I'm not saying it hasn't been done, but I would just leave it out. So that's basically the rundown of the dungeons on Veteran. All of the dungeons that I've said that you cannot solo because of mechanics where you are forced into being like an animation where you're held down and you die. This applies to normal as well, to the normal dungeons. The only difference on normal is enemies die quicker and you don't take as much damage. So things like City of Ash 2, you can solo that on normal. White Gold Tower on normal, you probably will be able to solo that. Maybe, Ruins and Prison as well, Cradle. But the ones where you're locked into mechanics where you are automatically one-shot, you're still not going to be able to do that. You're going to need someone to help you. Try the normals first to get used to it, and then move on to veterans. I mean, if you can get a group, just get a group and do them, But it's always fun to test the limits. So best of luck with that, with going through them. And cheers.